Good evening, everyone. I am Dia, and I welcome you all to the third episode of Talk Without Constraints, a series wherein the guest speaker will be sharing their first period experience and will also engage in a conversation around menstruation. So let's begin by outlining our organization. Sarkari School is an initiative by We Citizens Foundation that promotes high standards of education for students attending public schools. We, as a group, strive to raise awareness of Indian government schools and to promote a positive narrative about them. Many of our significant projects really assist and support students from underprivileged backgrounds. One of our projects is Project Vedana. Just a second. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I am Dia, and I welcome you all to the third episode of Talk Without Constraints, a series wherein the guest speaker will be sharing their first period experience, and will also engage in a conversation around menstruation. So, let's begin by outlining our organization. Sarkari School is an initiative by We Citizens Foundation that promotes high standards of education for students attending public schools. We, as a group, strive to raise awareness of Indian government schools and to promote a positive narrative around them. Many of our significant projects really assist and support students from underprivileged backgrounds. One of our projects is Project Vedana, which aims towards creating awareness campaigns to reduce school absenteeism, dropouts in girls during their menstrual cycle in rural areas through active involvement of youth and creating conversation around normalizing the taboos and stereotypes around periods. So far, Project Vedna has led a large scale initiative on reducing the absenteeism of girl children due to menstruation by conducting workshops in government schools and engaging with young and driven people across different states. Now, my co host Muskan will introduce our guest speaker for today's episode.
Thank you, Dia. Good evening, everyone. I'm Muskan, and today we will be hosting our special guest, Miss Bhoomika Uppal, and I have a great pleasure to invite her with your first episode of Talk Without Constraints. She's a student of LLB honors at Amity Law School, Amity University, Noida. She has completed her major in sociology from Janki Devi Memorial College, the University of Delhi, in the year of 2021 and dedicated and motivated to bring change to society. She is a passionate about in the working in the domain of gender and human rights and aims to become a social impact lawyer. So, Tumika, you can prefer both the languages, Hindi or English, in which you are comfortable. Okay?
First of all, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
you are audible.
Okay, thank you. So, thank you so much for inviting me as a guest speaker. Like, this is a very big position of being called a guest speaker, and I am also working as an PR intern, and also I am the coordinator of Lady Bazigar in the Project Gudiya of Sarkari School Initiative. So, I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And before I begin, I would just start my conversation with a quote, like all the menstruators, not only the women, because there are a lot of menstruators who identify themselves as women or not. So all the menstruators out there, their strengths are like tea bags, and their strengths can only be tested when they are, they're put inside hot water, hot burning water. So every period experience is new. Like every month, each menstruator experience something new. But yeah, definitely the first time for everything is special, definitely. So talking about my first time, like I was in class fifth, I was in fifth standard, and I was approximately 10 or 11 years old. So basically, at that time, I had no prior knowledge of what exactly periods are. But there were some girls in my class that they talk about in small groups and say hush hush. It's a hush hush topic basically, and it's not for young people. They used to say this. So when I started with my period for the first time, I was actually studying. My grandfather used to teach me at that time. So I was like it was just like another normal day. I was studying and sitting and studying in the evening, and then out of nowhere, I felt a bit of pain in my stomach, and then I immediately ran to the washroom because there was some sort of icky feeling down there. So when I ran and I saw like there was a pool of blood in the pot, so I got scared. मुझे immediately ये चीज लगा that I have fallen somewhere and I have hurt myself so bad, and now I'll definitely get a good scolding from mom. ठीक है कि what were you doing in school today? So then I मेरे को लगा कि कि ठीक है चोट लगी है थोड़ा सा खून आ रहा है, it will you know automatically it will stop after some time. ठीक है, I ignored it and then again returned back to study, but it didn't stop. ठीक है, the situation became more worse, so then I had to ran immediately, stand up, and then ran from there. So my grandfather was also taken aback. Like, what just happened to her? Why did she ran away like this? I was a very studious kid right from the beginning. So I never behaved in such a way. So he was also very taken aback that day that what happened to her. So then when I went to my mother, she was, casually sitting in the evening. She was like chilling. So I told her, "Mama, मुझे चोट लग गई है." ठीक है? So she said, "Where? क्या हुआ मतलब?" So I told her, Mama, there is blood in my underwear. So she got scared for a while, ki what happened. So then she took me to the washroom and like I told her ki dekho ye kya hua hai. So she was actually, taken aback by the fact that, in earlier times the normal age of menstruation was around 15, 16 years. And I was just 10 or 11 at that time. I faintly remember 10, yeah, 10. I just had my 10th birthday. So she was a bit taken aback, how her period started so early. So sometimes this happens that it's just an indication. You just have one period cycle and it stops for some time, and then become regular after a few years. But in my case, that wasn't the situation. Like I became a regular menstruator. I started to menstruate regularly after that. So my mama explained me the process. आई टेल यू आई वाज ब्लैंक. मुझे उस टाइम पे कुछ समझ नहीं आया कि व्हाट एग्जैक्टली वाज हैपनिंग टू मी, व्हाई देयर वाज सो मच ऑफ पेन एंड व्हाई आई वाज ऑलवेज सो इरिटेटेड. मतलब फ्रॉम द पास्ट 2-3 days I was irritated, but I didn't got to know like what exactly is happening to me. So yeah, she explained me everything, what is the sanitary napkin and you will be having periods. And my first, very innocent question was, लड़कों को भी होता है? Since you say, कि everyone is equal and like we have been socialized into this notion that boys are more stronger. तो मेरे को लगा ठीक है उनको भी होता होगा. If I have to bleed, then they might also be bleeding मुझसे पहले से. क्योंकि we see men on that pedestal ना, कि उनको तुमसे ज़्यादा पता है, they have all the experiences prior than you. तो मुझे लगा कि होता होगा. So then she explained me. So I was in the pit of tears. Why this is happening to me? We see that, कि only boys are strong and all, we say all these things. Then why the responsibility of having periods is only, given to me? So this thing happened. Okay. So yeah, that was my first period experience, and unfortunately, I had no prior knowledge because I was way too young. And then we started to had these awareness sessions when I reached class 7th. So till those 2 years, whatever knowledge I got it from my mother, my grandmother, and I wasn't opened about it earlier with my grandfather or father. I am only child. I don't have any brothers. I don't have any sisters. I'm the only daughter in family. So basically, now the situation is like it's very normal. Now, though the situation is, I have tried to change the mindset of people around me. So now the situation is very chill, and now my father also knows from a very very long time. Like when I reached class 8 or ninth, when I started to realize it's a very normal natural process, that biological process you can say, that will happen to every woman or menstruator out there. So yeah.
Yeah, like that was a very great story. some ups and downs, some funny parts, some emotional parts where you literally like cried and you were like that innocent question of yours ki ladko ko bhi hota hai. It's like very amazing. So, Bhumika, so our next question is like we live in our country, India, which is a very diverse country, and there are like a lot of like different religions, and there so basically like there are a lot of myths which go around. So, are there any myths or stereotypes associated with periods followed at your own home?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. So, like, I am very, grateful in this sense that I have been born to such open-minded parents. So, like, my parents have never discriminated me, and since I am the only child in my family, they have never, थॉट ऑफ मतलब मुझे कभी ऐसे उन्होंने फील नहीं होने दिया दैट वी डोंट हैव अ सन मतलब बट स्टिल देयर आर द पीपल हु बिलोंग टू द ओल्डर जनरेशन लाइक द द ग्रैंड मदर्स द ग्रैंड फादर्स सो दे होल्ड दिस समटाइम्स very small I in our family no such myths are followed but I have stories I've heard stories of people who used to come and tell me कि once you will get your period you don't have to touch pickle, you don't have to touch tulsi, okay, it's a sacred plant, you don't have to touch it. And
Right.
some of my friends that belong to very conservative environment, they come and told me that कि when a male member goes out for to work in morning तो उसके सामने नहीं आते हैं while you're menstruating कि उनका दिन खराब ना हो जाए. So I have also heard such myths, and you have to sleep on the floor, you don't have to use the kitchen utensils, alag se you will be provided with utensils. But no such stereotypes were present. Those myths were not followed in my family. Yeah, my dadi used to do some of this, some used to do थोड़ा बहुत कि मंदिर की चीज को हाथ
Hmm.
नहीं लगाना है, मंदिर नहीं जाना है. बट देन मी बीइंग अ रिबेलियस पर्सन आई वाज लाइक अब तो जब पीरियड होंगे तभी मंदिर जाऊंगी. एंड देन आई सी कि व्हाट इफ गॉड हैज टू कर्स मी इन दिस वे ओनली, तो चलो करके देख लेते हैं, ज्यादा से ज्यादा क्या हो जाएगा, आई गेट सम एक्स्ट्रा होमवर्क एज पनिशमेंट, ठीक है, तो ठीक है करके देखते हैं ये. बट देन दिस अलॉट ऑल्सो ब्रोक अ लॉट ऑफ बिलीव्स, मतलब कि पीपल वर अफ्रेड टू टच पिकल, तो मैंने कहा तुम छू कर देखो, ठीक है, जस्ट टच इट एंड सी कि उसको कुछ होता है. So then they started saying no, it will turn white, उसमें बैक्टीरिया ग्रो कर जाएगा if you touch it.
Yeah.
But ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता, ठीक है. So my I like right from the childhood I have this habit of asking क्यों होगा, ठीक है, कैसे होगा, क्यों होगा, ठीक है. तो मैं हमेशा ये करती हूँ कि इफ यू टोल्ड मी अ मिथ आई ऑलवेज गो एंड एक्सपेरिमेंट इट, ठीक है, कि देखो नहीं हुआ. सो ऐसे करते करते आई चेंज द माइंडसेट ऑफ लॉट ऑफ पीपल अराउंड मी. सो या दैट वाज अ विन विन फॉर मी.
That's great. That's great. I mean, we have also seen the movie Padman. Like, we can also see like how the women used to like sleep on the floors when they're menstruating. Yeah. So okay. So Bhumika, was your school or college infrastructure menstrual friendly?
Yeah, like in this way also I have been very privileged. I was in an all girls school and then in an all girls college. Okay. So we had like really nice science teachers, you can say, who never skipped a reproduction lecture. Like a lot of people complain about this that my science teacher skipped the reproduction chapter just because she didn't wanted to make things awkward. So I had this very great teacher in class fifth who, she introduced like she held this informal kind of session. Formal sessions started to happen in like class seventh onwards, but she held this session and she explained everything about menstruation. If you have any doubts, anything. So yeah, definitely my school was, you can say, way ahead of its time, because when I used to interact with people from other school, and especially the co-ed institutions where boys are also there, so they used to come to me and said, नहीं यार हमारा school तो इतना open minded नहीं है, ठीक है. And if teachers have to discuss these kind of issues, they used to send boys to the fields कि जाओ जाओ खेलो, ठीक है, play, and then we need to talk to girls separately. So actually this thing disturbed me on some level कि उनके साथ ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है, but this never happened with me because the school was extremely menstrual, the practices were welcome, the questions were welcome, so we were never made to feel awkward about something. And secondly, coming to my college, I am a graduate in sociology, so sociology department is already very famous for being very liberal. So we to had so many we every Saturday we used to watch a movie. usme we covered various issues like about widows, about child brides and whatnot. You name it and we have covered it. So I never faced this issue in my school or in my college. There were some teachers who were not very happy कि क्यों बच्चों को ये सब चीजें अभी इतनी यंग एज में क्यों बताई जा रही है. But then their comments were ignored, and what was beneficial for us was told to us.
That's great. Yeah, Muskan.
होने चाहिए तो ऑफकोर्स होने चाहिए ताकि सब लड़कियां अवेयर हों, क्योंकि सबके घर वाले, जैसे कि आपने कहा आपको पीरियड्स हुए और आपको नहीं पता था,
Hmm.
तो हो सकता है मतलब हम अपना ज्यादा टाइम स्कूल्स में बिताते हैं तो हमें वहां से नॉलेज मिले, और ज्यादा से ज्यादा लड़कियां अवेयर होनी चाहिए एट द यंग एज. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट टैक्स एप्लीकेशंस ऑन सैनिटरी पैड्स?
Okay, so that thing pinches me a lot. This is the term called pink tax that women have to pay on every apparel or anything we buy. For example, there are a male razor commonly used by Gillette male razor, and a
Yes,
female Venus Gillette Venus razor. So you will see
yes.
that there is a price difference in them. So basically, pink tax is a thing, and people don't realize it. Our laundries are expensive. Our dresses are expensive, even though they don't have pockets. Another disturbing thing. Okay. So, and the jeans also we purchase, they have such small pockets because there is this notion earlier women's clothes doesn't had pockets because they don't earn, so they don't have to keep the money. Okay, they will only have the pen money given to them by their husbands. So there are a lot of things, patriarchy has grappled over ages. ठीक है कि सब में अपने घर करके बैठ गए छोटी छोटी चीजों में. So pink tax is also one such thing. ठीक है. And coming to taxation, I personally feel is that periods are not choice. मतलब you can't choose to have them or not have them. On the मतलब कि I sometimes feel that it's a very great initiative by the government that they are giving condoms and contraceptives for free. But the sad part is that sex is a choice, but periods are not. So why sanitary pads are not distributed like that? But now I'm really happy with this initiative of the government that we have these Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhiya Kendra, in which sanitary pads are available as cheap as rupees one, like rupees one for one pad. So that is a great initiative, and more and more people should be made aware about that.
Oh, that's good. So, are you comfortable discussing menstruation with your family members? How sensitive or insensitive are the male members of your family when it comes to talking about peace?
Thank you for your question. So, as I told you earlier, there was hesitation from my end. Like my father was always a very. I have seen him as someone who is very understanding, very sensitive and emotional. So the hesitation was from my end. ठीक है, क्योंकि there were girls in school who used to say that this is something that has
Hmm.
to be discussed among the women folk. And ये बात लड़कियों की है and बाहर नहीं जानी चाहिए. So there was this hesitation from my end. But sometimes, like since my mother is working, mama नहीं होते थे घर पे. So there was my nanu and father. My father used to be there. ठीक है. So उनकी तरफ से कभी मुझे ऐसा नहीं लगा that there is something to be ashamed about this. ठीक है. Because when I was young, I did some what you can say silly mistakes. I used to keep my pad like that only, the used pad like that only. ठीक है. I had no sense of hygiene like when I started with my periods. So they used to come and say to me कि बेटा ऐसे नहीं रखते, ठीक है, wrap it and keep it side में. So they never made me feel ashamed about something. उन्होंने हमेशा प्यार से आके समझाया ही है कि this is not about making you conscious, but about teaching about you about the hygiene that one should practice. So hesitation जो था वो मेरी तरफ से ही था. And like you what you call it, the person who is very straightforward. So I never, after that, that hesitation was gone away from my end. I never shied away in public also. I have given various menstrual hygiene lectures outside also to young boys. I have worked with an organization named Sequin. So usme we used to give these menstrual hygiene lectures to young boys, and we used to call it mardon wali baat. So it is actually a mardon wali baat, and the all the men out there, you should respect your partner, your mother, your sister, or whosoever she is. and you should support her in those tough days. That's my message.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like that's like I really like the idea like mardo ki baat, which is very creative and absolutely uh like the male counterparts should support their partners during these like difficult days, I'd say. So, Bhumika, like you just mentioned that like government is providing sanitary napkins for 1 rupee and in government schools. But like recently, a female official in Bihar rebuked and made fun of a girl student who asked why the government couldn't provide sanitary napkins. So, like, what's your opinion about that? Like, if you had been there, what thoughts would you have experienced? And like, do you believe that government ought to start paying more attention to period poverty?
Yeah, so when I read that news for the first time, I was too furious. Okay, that how can a person say something like this? Okay, that as you are asking for free pads, tomorrow you will ask for contraceptives and condoms. Okay,
Right,
that was
right,
the full statement she gave. Okay, so I was thinking कि a woman sitting in par, we say that there are lack of female representation in higher positions, but a woman sitting there and giving these kind of statements made me feel even more sad, or you can disheartened. So then this thing came into mind that gender has no role to play in your opinions. A woman can be equally patriarchal, and a man can be a man can be a feminist. Okay, so first of all, this notion crossed my mind, and secondly, I have seen this thing where then when women stand up and talk about periods in public, the house have been sensitized, and वो भी हमें इसलिए लगता है because we live in these privileged households, and we live in these metropolitan cities. But if you go to the rural side, like this incident happened, so वहां पे the girl didn't had the awareness कि pads इतने सस्ते मिलते हैं, तो उसने पूछ लिया कि मुझे चाहिए. So whenever a woman questions about her sexual and reproductive rights and demands them in public, so it becomes a major human cry. ठीक है. So I first of all didn't like the approach, like the approach she followed, and definitely where we lack is that पैड्स सस्ते हो गए हैं लेकिन वो टबू नहीं जा रहा है. ठीक है, अभी भी यू सी कि इफ वी गो एंड बाय सैनिटरी नैपकिंस in rural areas especially, they will cover it in first a brown bag and then a black cellophane, जिसकी पता नहीं कौन सी drugs we are smuggling. So वो चीज जब तक नहीं हटेगा तब तक आप पैड चाहे सामने भी रख दोगे ना, the girl will not pick it up बिकॉज ऑफ शेम. आप फ्री में भी दे रहे होगे तब भी वो नहीं लेगी, क्योंकि उसके दिमाग में ये चीज बहुत अच्छे से फिट करी गई है कि दिस इज समथिंग यू मे लुक डाउन अपॉन, एंड गुड गर्ल्स
right,
डोंट यूज पैड्स, डोंट यूज कप्स एंड टैम्पन्स को लेके तो अलग ही एक वो है दैट यू विल
right.
लूज योर वर्जिनिटी एंड व्हाट नॉट. सो
Yeah.
दैट्स अनदर
Um,
टॉपिक ऑफ डिबेट.
yeah, absolutely. Like even at my place, like जब भी ऐसा periods होता है ना, to take pad out, तो washroom जाने के लिए अगर रास्ते में पापा just have to hide it. Like that
Yeah.
happens.
No, in
So
my house, it's like I had to take it like this. Okay, I'm going and taking it.
all right, well, that's great. So like, Bhumika, have you ever missed school due to periods? Like, if yes, then what's that a particular discomfort or fear or the reason that made you do that?
Okay, so during my school, fortunately, this incident never happened. Like ऐसे होता था कि मतलब एक कॉन्शियसनेस रहता था, जिस दिन वाइट स्कर्ट डे होता था एंड यू हैव पीरियड्स उस दिन, सो यू वर दिस यू विल गेट दिस जिटर्स एंड यू विल आस्क योर फ्रेंड बार बार कि चेक कर आई होप आई हैव नॉट स्टेड माई सेल्फ. बट like due to pain or due to discomfort, like I am very fortunate कि कभी ऐसा नहीं हुआ. Like in college it had happened because I am a patient of anemia. So this happens sometimes that you will get very painful periods. Amenorrhea, there is this condition in which there is lack of period or a lot of blood flow with pain. So एक दो बार I have faced that situation, and उसके लिए you eat painkillers and all, but I have not missed it. But I have seen a lot of menstruators around me who have missed their period, who have missed their work or school. I have seen my mother also. She is in her menopausal years. So the situation becomes uncontrollable sometimes, so you have to take a leave. There is no other option. So yeah, I have seen people doing that.
Okay. So, how do you think should young teens take care of their hygiene and diet while menstruating?
I personally feel that these two things are extremely important, diet and hygiene. Because me being an anemic person, like now I am doing fine. So diet is very crucial. In these days, the food we consume is not very healthy. And most of the times, even if we want to avoid junk food, we can't. Like for example, we are in college, we don't have our tiffins, the home cooked food. The girls who live outside, the menstruators who live outside of their houses, they are working or either they are in hostels and studying. So this consumption of junk food has increased multifold. So what you can do is like wherever possible, you can take home cooked food and especially include किसी को अच्छा नहीं लगता, मुझे पता है ग्रीन वेजिटेबल्स खाना, बट खाना पड़ता है, ठीक है, क्योंकि आई हैव बीन इन दैट सिचुएशन दैट you have to eat everything that comes your way. Please don't shy away from eating food कि मैं तो इतना ही खाऊंगी, मैं तो इतना ही खाऊंगी, I'll become fat. Take care of the sugar content, take care of the salt content, but you need those potatoes and rice. You are not someone who will survive on mere air and water. So that is one thing. And secondly, what I personally feel is regarding hygiene is कि the all the members around in family should be proactive, because when you start to menstruate you don't know how to handle things, you don't know how to clean yourself up, ठीक है, एंड समटाइम्स यू आर सो यंग कि आपको नहीं समझ आता कि पैड कब चेंज करना है, पैड पूरा भर भी जाता है, देन ऑल्सो यू थिंक कि अरे अभी तो चल जाएगा, ठीक है, अभी स्टेन नहीं लगा है तो चल जाएगा, ठीक है, सो यू हैव टू मेक दिस पॉइंट एवरी फोर आफ्टर every 4-6 hours you change your pad and you wash that area, and not use those fancy intimate washes because they are not good for the pH levels. But you can use it on the other days, like not on the period days but the other days, and on period you can just wash it with water. And apart from that, like the pads and this, and also wear loose fitted clothes. Matlab, these are the few things I personally follow. Wear drink a lot of water, don't go dehydrated in those days. I know कभी कभी हो जाता है कि कुछ खाने पीने का मन नहीं करता है during periods, but fill yourself with fluids because you will be needing them. पीरियड्स के टाइम पे कभी भी अपने आप को थकने मत दो, टेक एम्पल रेस्ट, काम है पड़ा रहने दो, हो जाएगा, sleep, relax. So that's all I can say.
जैसे कि आपने कहा कि डाइट बहुत जरूरी है, तो ऑफ कोर्स सबको ध्यान रखना चाहिए। गर्ल्स को तो बेसिकली मतलब कि उनको स्टार्टिंग में जब पीरियड्स होते हैं कि उनको क्या खाना चाहिए क्या नहीं खाना चाहिए, क्योंकि उससे रिलेटेड ही हमें काफी सारी डिसीज हो जाती हैं आगे जाके, जो कि हमें पता नहीं होता कि हमें क्या है। क्योंकि आजकल बड़ा बोलते हैं नहीं मेरे को पीरियड्स है, मेरे को तो मूड स्विंग्स हो रहा है, नहीं मुझे चॉकलेट खानी है, मुझे तो
Hmm.
आइसक्रीम ही खानी है, तो वो सब थोड़ा खा सकते हैं मॉडरेट अमाउंट में, बट हमें बेसिकली ध्यान रखना चाहिए कि हमें उस टाइम पे पर्टिकुलर एक ऐसा फूड लेना चाहिए जो हमारी हेल्थ के लिए बहुत ज्यादा जरूरी
Hmm.
And like I like to add one thing, like my mom always say कि periods में like don't eat sour things क्योंकि उससे
Yeah.
ज़्यादा pain होगा. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
true or not, but
Okay,
like
so
that's what my
I
mom
personally
says.
don't like sour things. Okay, so I have never tried this. I'm not a very fan of chutney and gulappas. I'm not a fan of them. But yeah, there is also this notion, and there are also things related to cold things like ice cream mat khao because
Hmm.
it will hinder the flow of blood. So there have
Yeah.
been some scientific provings कि क्या खाना चाहिए क्या नहीं खाना चाहिए. And what I personally feel is at that time cut your caffeine intake. If you are a
है।
coffee addict like me, so you should cut your caffeine addict before 2 days and while you're on your periods. बहुत मन करता है कॉफी पीने का, but नहीं पीना चाहिए, मतलब that's a
Hmm.
personal suggestion. Hmm.
So, do you think there is a need to normalize the conversation around menstruation?
Sorry, your voice got cut in between.
Do you think there is a need to normalize the conversation around menstruation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what is there to feel shy about it? Like, basically, it's as basic as, changing calendars every month, what I can say, ki a new month, a new period cycle is there, so it's a very normal biological process every menstruator go through. So definitely the conversation should be normalized. And there is, पता है, कुछ segregation नहीं होना चाहिए कि सिर्फ लड़कियों को एजुकेशन दे और लड़कों को वहां से जाने के लिए बोल दें. The boy should be made to sit there, and they should be made sensitized, and they should be sensitized enough कि वो आगे जाके they understand the needs of their female counterparts. So yeah.
Right. So, Bhumika, like you must have heard of menstrual leave policy. So basically, it's a leave with a specific form of time off for those who experience period pains. And in a country like India, where menstruation is still a taboo and people are not very comfortable talking about it, and so like there are a lot of arguments which go around. Like for example, women have been working in the workforce for decades and they have been managing well, so why do we all suddenly need to provide them with menstrual leave? So, like, what's your take on that? Do you think more policies like these should be introduced?
Yeah. So as I, mentioned earlier, when women demand their sexual and reproductive rights in public, there is a big human cry around it. So what's my take on period leave is like, we don't need we the menstruators don't need it every time in every cycle. But yes, there are some times where you give up. You literally give up, no matter how strong you are. You give up. ठीक है कि आज नहीं हो पाएगा ना, I can't go to work. So there should be some provisions, and usme bhi, you can work from home. If the company is so work specific, and they want you to be a workaholic, so then definitely they can give you this option ki, you can stay at home and do work from home. This option should be there. And also definitely, there should be period leaves, because I know from decades that women, the menstrual all the menstruators have been tirelessly working in the public domain, and they have never complained, basically. But yeah, sometimes, and some people suffer from such specific conditions जिसमें pain होता ही होता है. For example, you have endometriosis, you have fibroids, or you are in that menopausal wala thing. So you definitely need period leaves, and there should be provision of period leaves in which you can do work from home. And if there are some targets lagging behind, you can complete them by sitting at home.
That's great. Bhumika, so how comfortable were you talking about having periods in front of the boys in your school? And do you feel boys should be educating about menstruation too? If yes, what's the difference between?
Mhm. So basically, as I told you, I was in an all girls school, like in my whole schooling time, but I had male friends. So basically, I personally feel that one shouldn't shy away. क्योंकि कई बार हम ऐसे बोल देते हैं, if a guy asks कि क्या हुआ है, why are you so dull, and why are you behaving in such a way, तो हम बोल देते हैं नहीं यार, मेरी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है, मेरे सर में दर्द है, या we make all excuses. पेट में दर्द है, सर में दर्द है, पता नहीं कहाँ कहाँ दर्द है. बट वी नेवर हिट द मेन वर्ड, कि हम ये कभी नहीं बोलते कि पीरियड्स हो रहे हैं मुझे. So that is the first and foremost thing one should be doing. And in homes where there are no girls, for example, there are two male siblings are there, three male siblings are there, and no girl is there, so it's the responsibility of the mother to make them sensitize towards this topic, and make them comfortable around girls, ki this is a normal process, it happens with me also. So yeah, that's the thing. And personally, I have never shied away from talking about this issue from my male friends or my male counterparts. Like, I have worked with organizations previously, and I have seen men are more open. It's the the girls who are hesitant, because it's not our fault, because we are made to think that way, ki nahi, it's a hush hush topic. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, while you were talking about menstrual leave policy, I'd like to like you were talking about the pain, कि मतलब
Hmm.
कितना ज़्यादा, because I personally have like PCOD, and so like 3 months periods नहीं आए, and then the fourth month periods होते हैं, it's like लिटरली बहुत 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 पेनफुल होता है. सो या लाइक दैट्स अ गुड थिंग कि हाँ वर्क फ्रॉम होम होना चाहिए. And
Hmm.
like there are a lot of countries who have actually have these policies, but India may it's like it's still in just Bihar, and I think कि absolutely, like your
A few
policies on that
private
side.
companies have introduced, like Zomato was the first one to
Yeah,
do it.
right, right.
But there is not, there is not a collective effort to achieve that
Hmm.
target, कि करना ही
Right,
करना है, उतना seriousness अभी नहीं आया है इस चीज को लेकर. And periods can be extremely painful when you have amenorrhea or you have PCOD or any lifestyle disorder
right,
relating any gynecological issue if you are facing. So periods can be extremely painful, and people should be understanding and sensitive towards the menstruators who face such issues.
right, right, right. Absolutely right. So here comes the end of our episode. It was a great experience, like talking to you. And I would like to know, like, if you really like the session, and like, what message would you like to give to our young menstruators and the youth?
So I loved being here, and I was very tired before the session, but now I am all re-energized. So thank you so much. And I loved being here, and I always love to engage with girls and menstruators all, and I love to engage myself with such organizations who are so dedicated and motivated towards bringing out change, because that's my goal and that's their goal. So we share this collective circle. So I am always very happy to, be surrounded with such enthusiastic young people and organizations. And also, like, only one message that I would like to give to the young menstruators are that, I personally feel that a lot of ads also, TV commercials also focus on कि only women have periods. So they should include the LGBTQI community, the ads, the
Absolutely.
terminology. I am also learning. It should be more inclusive, first of all, and
Right,
secondly, there is nothing to be shy about it. Just if you are facing any issue, just go stand up for it, speak it out loud, and there is nothing to be ashamed of, because we as women are socialized in such a way that we feel, even we can't even take the name of our genitals. We are taught in pp essay, we mention this. So
absolutely.
just say it openly, like it's vagina, what's the big deal about it? And period blood comes out of vagina, we pop out babies out from vagina, so there is nothing
Right,
to be
right.
shy about it. So that will be a message, and be more inclusive towards the LGBTQI people. I know they have been given some sort of recognition by the honorable judiciary, but still there is a long, long way to go. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you all, and privileged to propose the vote of thanks on this memorable event. First and foremost, I thank our guest, Ms. Bhumika Uppal, who despite a busy schedule and high time to face this event, and all the distinguished guests present here and accepting our invitation. Last but not the least, I thank you, my co-host, for cooperation in making this event a responsible. All
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Bhumika.
Thank you. Thank you.